we're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
It's a unique venue that's been open since the early 1900s. One of the fastest racetracks that we'll go to this season. But it's square-shaped, 4 corners, and it's flat. Very fast, and live here tonight for VRX 2025 World Cup Series action. It's Indianapolis for week number 8 of the season. Presented live here by Moza, Butt Kicker, Climax, and Superior Performance. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside Connor Horn all season long. Connor, after last hiatus here, we went racing just before Christmas at Bristol, and that racetrack had a lot of fireworks, a lot of drivers angry at one another, and now we come here to a racetrack where you have to rely on one another to stay in a pack.
I'm pretty sure everyone's probably forgotten about Bristol at this point. It's been 3 weeks after all. 16 yellows in 104 laps, went into overtime. Brian Hennings pretty much dominated the second half of that race. Mike Howerton had a lot of incidents, but he was the fastest. He just couldn't get to the front. And, after how crazy Bristol was, we saw Philip Willis not even really make the green flag technically because of that initial start penalty. He ended up parking it. So instead of having a points gap that was pretty close like it was going into Bristol, it's now a 36-point gap from Hennings to Philip Willis. Benjamin Richards is 63 back, really third all the way back. Third to sixth is still pretty packed up. Sixth to about 10th is still only 14 points from Howerton, the Helfer, in the top 10. So a lot of positions can still shift. Right now, the points lead is pretty comfortable for Brian Hennings right now. But he will probably have some work to do. He's starting back at 14th as we'll go around the order starting tonight at Indianapolis. But Philip Willis, his closest one in the title fight, is on pole, so he'll have work to do.
Yes, and Howerton actually with a penalty this week. The fireworks continued after the race. Conversations happened post-race that led to that. So a week out here for the 51. And as you can see all the way back from Ed Fiedler to Kenneth Blackburn, 126 points back, late in the season. It's not looking good for anybody outside the top 10. Had a possibility of this top 5 in points, but there it is all the way back to Tony Jackson, who made a few starts this season. Jared Epker in 29th, and of course Kevin Mulcahy with Superior Performance there at the end. But it's time to talk about Indianapolis. This racetrack is definitely one that stands out in the history. The Indy 500, the Brickyard 400. It's a unique racetrack, though. It's kind of similar to Pocono, where you don't have really the same corners. You have an identical kind of a symmetrical layout, but every corner is different.
Every corner's all so similar, but slightly different in their own ways. You might want to get to the curb a little earlier in turn 2, but you might not want to do that in turn 1. Very weird how this track feels different, but on paper it's pretty much the same. The 9 degrees in the turns, and obviously flat down these straightaways once you get towards the Yard of Bricks. Big track, 2.5 miles, one of the biggest we'll go to. Draft will be pretty important. Dirty air will be tough to get around. It's just going to be hard to pass. You could kind of get some grip in the second lane on iRacing's version of Indianapolis, and that makes it even harder to pass than it would be in real life. So drivers are going to be really fighting around this 116-year-old racetrack at this point.
Yeah, this track is so old, and it's I believe it was over 3 million bricks there on the front straightaway at one time back in the day. Part of that still part of the start finish line, but this racetrack definitely part of the history books here in real life. But with that, it's time to take you trackside, get the grid up on the screen, starting on the top spot here tonight. Philip Willis has come to play. He will start with a 52.879 for the top spot. 33 car on the pole. Julian Conde in the 18 will start to his outside. Run number 2 with John Hudson. Ed Fiedler will start in 4th. 5th spot with Jeffrey Hunter. Greg Spiker starting in 6th. 7th goes to Christian Key, looking to finally turn his luck around. Chase Rockford starting in 8th. And the top 10 is going to go to Doug Helfer, Kelly Walton, and the 818.
11th position, Mike Chivers, the 5 car who was in some incidents at Bristol, as we'll get the one to go next this time by, I should say. Benjamin Richards, he'll start in the 12th position. He had a pretty good run going at Bristol, ended up with a top 3 finish. 13th position will go to Wade Palmer, the 43 SCP colors. He's had some issues this season, some of his doing, some not. Brian Hennings, points leader by 36, but not a great qualifying effort. A pull about 0.8 of a second off of Philip Willis's time on pole, so he'll start 14th. Dane Chivers will start 15th. 16th will go to the 38 when he has to as a podium earlier in the season, technically last year. Yep, we'll get those jokes out of the way. David Collins, the 707, will start 17th. Anthony Edrington will start 18th, the 77. Then Teresa Spiker, 19th at the number 25. Ken Couch, the 08. Peterbilt for Mustang, starts 20th.
Electing not to take a time for Ken Couch and all of these drivers behind there. With Kevin Mulcahy, it's actually our race steward, Tony Richards, up in the broadcast. And we also have Gordon, I believe Gordon's here tonight, so we should have him. Kenneth Blackburn, John Kokenberg going to start 24th. And rounding out your field, it's the 12, the Pimax number 12 of Jason Lyon. Well, we have some time, this 2.5 mile oval, so I guess, Connor, who's your pick for tonight?
Well, I don't know if Philip Willis is a sure bet. We'll see if he gets a penalty at this point. Conde's been fast. It was pretty fast at Pocono himself. Christian Key was up there as well. But even though he's starting 14th, I think I have to go Brian Hennings. He just has been too fast this season. He was darn good at Pocono as well, so I think I have to go with him.
Well, barring that we don't see a penalty, I'm going to take the 33 of Philip Willis. Statistically, it's been between these two. They've battled it out. You saw that points lead get big at Bristol. This is where Philip Willis has to perform. These next 3 weeks have to be perfect. Pace car is going to pull off. And for week number 8, here we go. Live VRX World Cup Series 2025 in 2026. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, green flag is out, and we're underway on V-Speed. Lots of wheel spin in the back, and already a problem.
Big crash. Benjamin Richards, Dane Chivers, Haas, Lyon, Couch. And that looked like that started with, I think, Julian Conde. He just didn't really get the speed, and it just stacked all the way up.
Here's a look at the replay. I think it was Benjamin Richards who spun the tires here. I don't know if it was a checkup on the outside, but Richards goes sideways. And the 12 car, the luck continues for Jason Lyon. He is destroyed again.
Remember, we got, I believe, that one fast repair. A lot of drivers are probably going to have to be using it. At least half a dozen will probably use it here. We'll see whoever the gray car is. Looks like actually they were the ones who didn't get going. Might have been Chase Rockford in the 71. Conde didn't get away good, but Rockford didn't go at all. And it just stacked everything up.
A different look at this.
You can see he's just not going. Gap's way too big. It stacks up, and Ken Couch, last one in. 13, Dane Chivers is the first one who really gets turned and all that.
Well, you watch the situation. I think it might have been for the 71 there, maybe just in the wrong gear. Maybe
it's possible. Would have to hear what gear he could have been in. Yeah, that would be the wrong gear. That's maybe even 4th gear with those RPMs very low, 3,000 RPMs. If you were starting in the right gear, which I would assume is 2nd gear, you'd be around 6,000 RPMs. So it looked like, from our point of view, Rockford was just completely in the wrong gear, not ready for the start, but not really surprising to see that happen. Indianapolis is a track that's kind of notorious for having those restart stack-ups. The front straightaway, you don't have a tri-oval. It's completely straight down the front and the back. You can't see through the cars in front of you, and neither can the guy behind you. So if one driver misses a shift or something, you can't see anything. And not only that, you have no room to work with, as everyone's going to say out. You have no room to work with. If there's a stack up in front of you, look how wide this front stretch is with the walls to the inside and outside. It's not wide at all. You have nowhere to go if a stack up happens. All you can do is stand on the brakes and pray at that point.
So with that checkup, within the first probably 300 feet of the green flag,
Not even.
Willis is going to maintain that lead. John Hudson, Jeffrey Hunter. And as far as positions gained, it's going to stay pretty much the same across the board. And if any of my telemetry is broken here tonight, I apologize. We've been working on some multi-class stuff, and with that test, I seem to have broken my positions gained. So if at any point any telemetry on your screen looks incorrect, that is why. Looks pretty correct for Philip Willis, though.
I mean, yeah, start first, running first, 2 laps led, so good start. I just felt like Brian Hennings could get the win pretty easily here, but we'll see what Philip Willis can do. He obviously won at Pocono through all that chaos that was had at that race. I mean, we saw late race restarts there. He led 27 of 45 laps. Hennings finished second to him. Remember, it could have been Doug Helfer, though. And we'll see if we get that type of crazy race this time. We'll have the same length if we don't have green, white checker. It's 45 laps with a smaller fuel tank. You would think maybe one stop. You don't really know what the fuel situation's going to be, but a very big track, very hard to save fuel, just like we saw at Pocono. So we'll end up seeing what happens here.
So with Willis all the way back to Palmer, this race hasn't really begun yet. We should get the one to go from the iRacing safety car in just a moment. It's John Hudson on the outside for this restart. And what worries me here, Connor, is that everybody's kind of stuck in position. I know that we didn't really complete a lap, so maybe that's why. But right now, I know that the bottom half of the field is all jumbled up. Brian Hennings has definitely gained a spot, at least on paper. Started in 14th, is up to 13th. So that kind of confirms for me that, yeah, it is a little bit broken. We'll have to wait and see if iRacing's telemetry catches up to this. Watching all of these cars, though, your pick here tonight with the 74, we got the 818 of Kelly Walton, who needs to have a good night. And Christian Keat, that's a name that stands out to me of just bad luck after bad luck all the way through the season. When does it end? I mean, there's got to be a breaking point for him.
Breaking point for him, breaking point for Lyon. There's been a lot of drivers who've been involved in a lot of incidents not of their own doing. Benjamin Richards has been in some issues as well. I think once you get the more traditional racetracks, maybe the luck will change. We've been in some crazy tracks the last 2 weeks, Bristol, Indianapolis, last 2 races, I should say. Talladega was before Charlotte, so you had a normal race at Charlotte kind of in between Dega and Bristol. But a lot of the tracks have kind of been differing from what these drivers are probably used to, which are those cookie-cutter mile-and-a-half racetracks like we saw at Charlotte, like we saw at Vegas. And those races relatively clean, especially Las Vegas. We'll get one of those the next 2 weeks at Kansas and Homestead before we have a season finale at Daytona. So maybe some more normal tracks for this ARCA car can bring his finishes back normal themselves. He's had good runs, but he hasn't gotten a lot of finishes.
Yeah, almost have a perfect race up until the last 15 laps or so. The 45 laps, 4 of those already completed under caution. Pace car left hand for the second time. Let's see if we can find the right gear this time around and go back green flag racing like we picked up from Bristol. Let's start it off again. 2026, lap number 5. And leading lap number 1, it will be the 33 of Philip Willis. Jeffrey Hunter has moved up a few positions already to second.
Good initial restart there for Hunter, got him up to that spot. And now we're going to see that things probably single file out for a decent majority of this race. I mean, you're going to see a lot of single file, and you're going to see it pretty hard to pass. That draft is going to be pretty important. If you can somehow get a run on someone on the exit of turn 2 or the exit of turn 4, carry that draft with you all the way down the straightaway. Maybe even get a bump from someone behind, maybe a little draft from someone behind, and that's probably the best way you're going to be able to make passes. You kind of have to make those passes on the straightaways in a slingshot type of formation. Really not many other ways to pass.
Gonna take a lot of draft. Arca car notorious for lack of downforce, and you get stuck in traffic. It's gonna make it difficult to pass here tonight. Way out wide here for the 10 of Greg Spiker. He's gonna have the 64 Doug Helfer to the inside going into turn 2. Spiker's gonna lose that spot, drops down in front of the 43, and almost 2-3 wide there coming off the corner of turn 2. You can initially do that, Connor. You can get 3 wide, but you better figure it out before you get to the exit.
Heck, you better figure out 2 wide. I don't even see that working many times, let alone 3 wide. I don't think I've ever seen 3 wide in the corners work in any form of racing on the oval in Indianapolis, besides maybe in the Freedom 100 when they used to have that. But this is what you're going to see. You're going to see single file, and you're going to see things get stacked up. It's that hard to pass. One slow driver, with all due respect to Greg Spiker, slow in turn 4 he was, but one driver who's slow in a corner can ruin everyone's momentum down a straightaway, can cause this type of mix-up entering the next corner.
And on the outside for Brian Hennings, he's trying to figure out his way around this traffic. He'll take the outside into turn 2, trying to get around the 5 of Mike Shivers. Shivers going to fall back to 11th. And for the 74 on the move up to 10th. Just behind, though, that was Kelly Walton. It's actually the 12 mixed into the middle of that. That's Jason Lyon sideways. Contact 3 wide. We were just talking about it.
Oh,
and there's
man.
the aggression. Kelly Walton destroyed in turn 3.
Dane Shivers, Teresa Spiker. Look how Kenneth Blackbird went through the grass to avoid all that, but you kind of saw that coming, got a little bit too stacked up. They're battling for second. We see 3 wide. Got Kelly Walton kind of side drafting, trying to chase. I think Jason Lyon down the track, but I think it starts with Rockford. He gets into the back of Mike Shivers there, jumbles all this up, Lyon in the Walton. Then Walton gets the worst end of the outside wall there. Dane Shivers gets the worst hit of everything, possibly, because there were 2 pretty big hits there.
Yeah, and the 25 of Teresa Spiker destroyed.
That completely bent the chassis on Kelly Walton's car. One hit there, and then another right there into the right rear. That's probably what bent the suspension. Here comes Kenneth Blackburn. Somehow didn't get any of that. Pretty far back. You'd hope to get on the brakes earlier, but bring it down to the inside just for fun. The racing line was clear, but he wanted to have a little fun with it.
That puts us back. That's the 71 of Chase Rockford getting into the back of a car in front of him, causing a stack up. But we have unlimited tire sets. Why not come down and just top off of fuel at the very least?
I think that's what you'll probably see a lot of these drivers do. Once again, we don't really know what the fuel situation is going to be, but you pit here. We'll probably go green with 35 laps of racing left. I can't imagine a shortened tank like we have will make it to the end, so you'd think maybe this is going to bring some drivers into a one-stop situation possibly, where we might have been looking at a 2-stop if it went green, but looks like we might be cutting a pit stop out, especially with how many drivers pit. But we'll see who takes tires and who doesn't. I don't know how much the tires would matter, but it looks like everyone, at least Philip Willis, is going to take tires.
There's the race analysis on your screen. Unlimited tire sets and 65% fuel. Those are the standouts here for what we're seeing on the screen right now. Those 2 green-white checkered attempts could extend this race back to that mark and make it questionable. Of course, under caution, going to save a little bit of fuel overall. But we saw it there at, I believe it was Pocono, where the race kind of came down to fuel mileage all the way to the end.
And that could end up being the case here. It's a 65% fuel tank, so much shorter than we see in really any other series that V-Speed broadcasts. So the fuel mileage is not going to be good. Once again, 35 laps, 2 stops would probably make you doing about 17 to 18 laps on each tank, and we'll see Maybe that's a stretch, maybe it's not, but if it is a stretch, I worried for the top three who stayed out. Christian Key, Mike Chivers, who got the boot from Chase Rockford, but he didn't get involved in that incident. And then Benjamin Richards also stayed out. John Hudson, he's going to be the first driver on tires. He took 2 tires to get position on Philip Willis, who took 4, and I'm not quite sure who else might have taken 2.
I kind of like this call by these drivers that stayed out. I mean, we really didn't use much of the tire. And I think single file racing that's promoted here at Indianapolis, it's going to be tough to pass them either way. You might see later on in the run, those tires could become a factor, but right now as it sits, I think these guys up front made a good call.
I think it's fine just to get track position, get clean air on the nose, especially for Christian Key. We'll see if he gets good enough restart, he should be able to get the clean air on the nose. We weren't really looking at the race lead, but Philip Willis had really pulled away from the rest of the field. He had about a 1.2 second lead by the time that yellow came out. He was kind of out of draft range of Jeffrey Hunter, who had gotten second. So that clean air matters, especially if they start battling for that second position. It just slows them up so much. It's kind of like Darlington. So that's something that could end up happening.
So Philip Willis back to 5th. Christian Key, Mike Shivers, Benjamin Richards, and John Hudson have all stayed out on the racetrack. Did not bring it down. Actually, Richards in the box there about 8 laps ago. So he topped off on that first stint. But 2 of the drivers have not hit pit road at all. That is Christian Key and Mike Shivers. We'll see how this stacks up on this next restart. Out of the quarter of the way through this race already. Christian Key finds his way to the front. Track position so important. Will it pay off though?
We'll see. We'll see if it pays off. We'll see if the attrition rate picks up. We're already down 2 cars. We're down Jason Lyon, who had already been in the 2 crashes we've had tonight. So he is wrecked out. And Teresa Spiker under yellow, from what I saw, money shifted, catching back up to the field. And that was after using their faster pair. So they're also out of the race.
That's what happens when you take a few weeks off. It was all the way back to December, I believe, 18th, 17th. Yep. Yeah, it's been a while. Green flag back underway. And a good restart here for the 97 of Key. Half a second already, pulling away. Look at the clean air for the 97.
How much it matters. He got away that quickly. Richards was able to pretty much get away from Mike Chivers, and Philip Willis trying to waste no time going 3 wide for that 3rd position, trying to make those tires work. John Hudson's in the middle, and Mike Chivers is probably in the worst spot right now.
Oh boy.
Oh, there's no room for that. There's contact. Willis made contact with Hudson. Willis gets all those spots, and Hudson could not get through.
Hudson had to check up on the exit. Shivers to the outside. He'll benefit to the 4th position, trying to hold on. But as far as cars that have stayed out, the 97 in the clean air versus a car that's not in clean air is in the hornet's nest. The 5 of Shivers, bleeding spots, man. Contact with Hudson.
He straight up missed the entry of the corner. Here comes Brian Hennings. He started 14th, and he's going to get to the 4th position maybe with that move. He's going to at least get the 5th position away from Jeffrey Hunter. He couldn't get by the 5 of Chivers, but really good move there. And those 2 tires for John Hudson not working. And now he's out of draft range. You see all these drivers single file getting all this draft. Oh, crap!
Down the back stretch, the 3 car into the outside wall.
No yellow yet. Edward Fiedler got the worst of that. And there's going to be no yellow.
They're going to stay green here with the 97 of Christian Key leading it.
Couldn't tell. Just looked like maybe one of those two drivers weren't holding their line. Hudson was getting freight trained. All that draft on the outside. Everyone was single file. He was having no momentum. And right here, it looked like Fiedler maybe came down a little bit, not holding his line. Maybe the 3 came up as well. A lot of drivers barely avoided chaos. I think Kelly Walton made a very near miss there as well. Hudson's on pit lane. 2 tires did not work.
Now it is Key, Richards, and Willis. The 818 did get a piece of that there. It's like Kelly Walton a little off the pace here. We watch a stack up continue in the middle of the pack around 13.
Everything's gotten pretty single file after those 2 drivers got kind of taken out. Kind of like single file in clumps. Really, that battle for the 10th position is what's the closest battle. Greg Spiker, well, that make that not the case. I think Dan Charles.
Yeah, he's got damage. Oh,
I'm
wow.
not sure what that was. Almost like the right front's just not turning. And also, I think he's having internet issues. So
Left
that might
front.
be a part of it.
Left front of that car is very damaged. It was, at least on the last angle I saw. Now it looks fine.
I think he's having internet issues. It's probably a part of it, but it just
Oh!
it looked like oh, crash! Another one. Kelly Walton's in this one. Chase Rockford, Spikers in that one. Hard into the wall, and it's another caution.
How do we sort this one out?
More drivers
still
probably going to
crashing.
bring it to pit road, and they did still crash. I could not tell who that was. That was Anthony Edrington.
Renee Haas been involved in that? This is in the aftermath. This is completely after the fact.
Yeah, Edrington was the one who ended up spun, as well as Renee Haas. That was almost looked like yeah, just completely unrelated, or kind of related. They were, I guess, avoiding the crash, and they ended up colliding. Someone did. Oh, right there. Edrington tried to rejoin the track and came up into Chase Rockford. Rockford's been involved in a lot of stuff. Renee Haas did a great job avoiding that. Kelly Walton's probably the cause. Gets into Greg Spiker, nowhere for Rockford to go, and then Spiker hits the wall pretty hard. And yeah, Edrington's trying to get back on the track, and he just didn't have room to do it. And caused the second part of that. No intent. We get our 3rd stoppage. Edrington thinks he's going to get room to come up, and I don't even know if Chase Rockford knew he was coming up.
Well, we're a little bit rusty here, as you can tell, on V speed, but we're going to bring some cars back down pit road, top off with fuel. 56 of Benjamin Richards thinking about staying out, and he will. Richards to the lead. I don't think that's the call here at this point. We do have some green flag laps, but Richards going to get a lap led. Remember, 3rd in points so far as it sits. But we're going to take a quick commercial break here on V Speed. You are watching the 2025 VRX World Cup. Back with more coverage with Connor Horn, Bradley Cooper in just a moment.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
flag back underway here for the 4th time tonight at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Benjamin Richards leads him into turn 1. Connor, your pick in the 74. Brian Hennings is in a great spot here in the 2nd position. But a stack up in the back. Look at the chaos coming off of turn 2.
I don't know how they didn't wreck yet, but they're probably not done stacking up. Had a number of drivers stay out. Hennings one of them. Richards, the leader, obviously one of them. Willis came down to pit. Already back in that 3rd position as that restart kind of strung things out big time. John Kokenberg kind of riding the wall into turn number 3.
And it looks like King Couch, maybe? No, that's Kokenberg bouncing off the wall a 2nd time, and he's having a connection issue. He's going to be in the wall again in the 3. Oh, man, he is having some problems. Kokenberg is having some wheel issues as he's back and forth. Looks like... Oh, man, looks like wheel disconnected for him or something.
Looked like, I don't know. Looked like him and Dan Charles had contact with the 96 who was blinking earlier, but I don't think that was I don't think that's exactly what happened. But either way, they stay green. Everyone stays straight. And Battle for the leads, probably the closest it's been. 56, Richards leads. Henning 2nd, trying to pounce. And 33 of Willis, who most recently pit, trying to get back to the front.
Gonna get a run there off of turn 3. He can't do anything with it. This racetrack gonna keep him single file going down the front stretch. 56 of Richards in the clean air, holding on to the lead. 74 of Hennings can't figure out a way around him. Now has to play defense down the front stretch. Gonna look to the outside, dive to the bottom. Pressure tires for the 74.
Oh, there was contact for the 6th position. It was Chase Rockford. They saved it somehow. Chase Rockford has been in the middle of everything tonight, but you can see Hennings into turn number 1 try to poke the nose kind of below that white line towards that curbing, just trying to get any bit of clean air possible. He's getting a lot of draft, but he's not quite getting enough to make a move because Willis can't really stay close enough to push him, so that draft not doing quite as much as he hopes to. And usually what you see on the Gen 4, you can get to that left rear quarter panel, kind of get that guy a little bit loose in front of you. ARCA cars, it doesn't really work like that. You can't really loosen the guy up in front of you without hitting him, or let alone wrecking him. So it makes it even tougher for Hennings, but Benjamin Richards slammed the wall, and that's going to make the pass easier. He hit that wall hard.
That ripped the whole right front off of that car. And he's going to lose 3 spots.
I mean, he might have broke the whole suspension, how hard he hit that wall. So he goes from leading all the way back to the 4th position. Gives Hennings his first lead of the night, but Philip Willis is right behind him. And we did note Willis pit. He has fresher tires, but he did only take 2 tires. So we'll see. We got older 4 tires, but fresher 2 tires.
And he's going to try to break the draft. The Dragon Tail. The Snake Pit here at the Indy 500 on that back straightaway. Had the honor of participating in that, and that's a great time, Connor. If you've never been, absolutely would recommend it. But while we have a moment, we were talking about wheel issues just a moment ago with the 98. Kokenberg out of the race. Speaking of wheel issues, Teresa Spiker, the money shifter, is in the broadcast booth. And Teresa, you had to use that fast repair earlier than you wanted to. We've been on a long break, and really all you want to do is drive. But it's a tough break for you. Did you just forget?
Absolutely. I'm not even sure how I did it, to be honest. I was feeling very confident in the beginning of the race and had good control, good speed. Got caught up in that accident, and then coming out of the pits after getting that fast repair, I money shifted, and that was all she wrote of my race. It was quick and done.
Well, it seems like it wasn't just you. There's been a few people that have been a little rusty here tonight. In our initial start of this race, we had a driver on the outside. I believe it was Chase Rockford, who was in 4th gear. That caused the stack up, and of course you had a few cars already involved in that at the very beginning of the race. I think 5 or 6 cars involved. Then you have another issue with Kokenberg and a few others there at the 818. Just take us through what your opinion is here on the driving here today?
The track is slick. The track is fast. It's also very difficult to run these cars here, as you know. And I think everybody's just a little rusty. Haven't been practicing like everybody should, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
We'll have 3 races left here after Indy. Appreciate you coming up here.
I have to give a shout out to Ken Couch. He thanked me. He said at least he wasn't going to be last. So thanks for that.
Well, that's good for Ken Couch. He's actually in 12th right now in the 08. But looking off the back end of Brian Hennings, it looks like we're having this battle for the lead amongst 3 drivers. Dane Shivers is out of that picture. You have Jeffrey Hunter lurking in the background. But this top 3 has broke away by about 3 seconds so far. But we appreciate you coming up here and talking to us, Mama. And I know next week it'll be a different story. Hopefully we can get back to our regularly scheduled racing that we've seen in the past.
That's right. Thank you for all you do here at B-Speed. I appreciate both you and Connor.
Mama T in the number 25 behind the wall here tonight. Connor, as we stack up this field, well, I say spread out the top 5. We're watching this battle for second, third, and now for the lead. Hennings got the spot away, but Philip Willis, my pick here tonight, he's been mistake-free, and he's looking to capitalize. He needs Brian Hennings to have a bad night, and I thought, well, he's starting back in 14th. Maybe this is Philip Willis's night, but it just has not shook out that way.
Not quite yet, and we're seeing Indianapolis at its most frustrating right now because every time Willis gains down this long back straightaway, long front straightaway, he loses pretty much all that amount of time in turn 1, in turn 2. So he's really getting frustrated right now. I can imagine he's driving it really hard into the corners, which worries me for his right front, but with a lower fuel tank, maybe that tire wear won't exactly kick in as badly as it would if it was a full fuel tank. But you can see how fast he is in that drafting. That's why you see Brian Hennings weaving back and forth, trying to make sure Willis doesn't get to him. As you can see, Brian Hennings off of, not Brian Hennings, Benjamin Richards off of pit lane. He's the first one to come down to pit, probably because of that damage. You can see Willis is trying to get almost into the grass. He's getting so low, trying to get clean air on the nose. If I was him, I'd be trying to hunt for the second lane, almost like an IndyCar race with how aerodynamic these cars are, how the dirty air is. You almost have to drive them like an IndyCar. And you know, at this track on iRacing, you kind of have a second lane you could use, and I'm surprised Willis isn't trying to use it quite yet.
Looking to the left, looking to the right. Hennings defending quite well. Problems in the back. Ed Fiedler
Came down the pit.
It's the 66 back out on the racetrack. Benjamin Richards just ahead there. 1 lap down for the 56 and the 66. Dan Charles, the last car on the lead lap. There's the driver of the number 96. And Connor, I mentioned it earlier, it looked like the 96 had damage. But a connection issue, whatever the case may be, it just looks like that 96 is off pace.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does have a wheel issue or he does have damage that we can't see, like engine damage or something. But 96 definitely not fast right now, that's for sure, and just well off the pace as the battling for the lead's pretty much going to be bumper to bumper unless Hennings makes a mistake. Jeffrey Hunter,
down
crash.
the front stretch. 2 cars connected. 71's going to keep rolling, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, man. And that
With
is
the
Renee
brake.
Hasp. Renee Hasp is done. Kenneth Blackburn, big damage. Chase Rockford's been in the middle of a lot of things tonight, and that might be the last thing he's involved in after that.
Gotta hold the brake there. That is a case of just, this is a bottleneck on this front stretch. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, and Christian Key, once again, gets an unfortunate part of that. He didn't get the worst of it, but he's going to lose a lot of track position. And I couldn't tell what started it, but, I mean, he just doesn't hold the brake. Rockford doesn't. There's what can Renee Hasp do? If he holds the brakes, Hasp just goes to the bottom next to the inside wall, no problem. But instead, we get 2 other cars involved. Cannot see why Key and Rockford wrecked. That doesn't really show it either.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best here. I'm a little rusty.
As we all are. Key's on the inside, Rockford on the outside. See if someone comes up and...
Oh, the 43 got into the back of the 97 there.
I was about to say, that's exactly what it looked like. Look, Wade Palmer tried to give a bump draft to Christian Key and misjudged it, but was not centered to the back bumper of the 97, and just so slightly put him up the track in the chase Rockford. Wade Palmer, he's caused some things this season as well, and I don't think he meant to do that, but it probably won't go over well once again. We'll see what type of key we get. We'll see who pits in a few moments. Right there, he hit him kind of in the left rear, so it naturally is going to send that car up the track, and that's how those two got together. But can't say anything other than hold the brakes next time. It won't go over well, I'm sure.
This bails out the 74 of Hennings. He had a little bit older tires than Philip Willis by about 7 laps here. I would expect these guys to come down pit road. We just had a 13, 14 lap run there. It surprised me to see them all come in.
You could probably make it to the end on fuel, so I would think everyone does end up coming down. Benjamin Richards, I think, would get the lucky dog. Ezra Fiedler will have to take the wave around, so everyone else will come down to pit, probably for, definitely for fuel, maybe for 4 tires, probably for 4 tires. We'll see if someone takes 2. With how important the track position is, I wouldn't be surprised. We saw Philip Willis working pretty well on those 2 tires, but we saw John Hudson in the 3. It was not working for him on 2 tires, so we might see a mixed bag. I think I would take 2 if I wasn't in the top 3. The track position is just too important.
The Philip Willis going to be the command car for this pit stop. Actually, the 74 of Hennings will be the command car. And 15 of Hunter. On 2 tires, going to beat the 33, the 74, and Doug Helfer also going to get out ahead on 2 tires.
I like this move for Hunter especially. He was 3rd. He was kind of falling off those top 2, so he's going to get the clean air and the track position over him. Doug Helfer, we'll see how this works out for him. He came down 7th position, and he's going to end up in the 2nd position. So I thought Moore would take 2, but I think Philip Willis is going to be okay with this. He's going to be on even tires with the 74.
I think vice versa. Because Hennings had a little bit older tires. It's going to be even, but they still have to get around Jeffrey Hunter, who hasn't experienced that clean air yet tonight. Doug Helfer, who's on 2 tires, hasn't experienced being up front as much. And the 15 car had the pace, at least in the short run. He hung with these drivers right out of the gate. So I like this call on 2 tires, especially with the trend that we've had in this race. We could get 2 or 3 more cautions and put us into a green-white checkered scenario. Jeffrey Hunter looks like a genius.
We'll have to wait and see. We're very far away from being in green-white checkered territory as Wade Palmer gets an EOL. I don't know if that was for the yellow or something else, but he'll go to the back at some point. But we'll see if we get to that green-white checkered territory. It just seems like we can get around that 5 to 10 lap range, and then something happens. We really haven't had a long run of any sort so far. Just trying to look at the lap times from everyone. We had about 4 laps on our first run. Well, technically 300 feet on our first run, but then we had 4 laps, and we had about 4 more laps the next cycle. And I think that most recent run was about 11 laps, so that's as long as we've gotten. If we go 11 laps here, that takes us to 2 to go. And that would put us in green-white checkered territory. But if we kind of keep trending the way of extending that run longer and longer, we'll get to the end. So I'm sure the guys who have been up front, like Hennings, Willis, Jeffrey Hunter, they're hoping it goes green, but there's still a lot of drivers on track. 21 drivers lead lap, only 3 out of the race. Kokenberg, Spiker, and Jason Lyon. Even Chase Rockford, he might get back on track. Renee Haspel obviously saved their fast repair, so thankfully something that they could not control being involved in. Haspel's still in the race. And I think Kenneth Blackburn as well saved that fast repair, so they are also still in the race.
Having a little bit of connection issues here tonight, so still kind of working on that. It's been back and forth. Watched it dip a couple times here tonight, so I apologize if we are still having those issues with drop frame rate. Bear with us here on V-Speed. Try to get that sorted out for you. Watching Jeffrey Hunter in the top spot.
We'll see what Willis can do from the outside of row 2. Obviously, his main competition is going to be Hennings trying to get by the 74. It might be a race between those two to see who gets to the lead first. If one of those, whoever of those two gets to the lead first, that's probably going to decide the race. That's if it goes green, though.
Back underway here. A lot of wheel spin there in the middle of the pack. Neck and neck into turn 1. Helfer to the outside.
Hennings got a good jump, couldn't take advantage. Hunter kind of spun the tires, and Hennings kind of missed turn 1. Willis couldn't really take advantage of it as those top 4 get single file. Whoa, big stack up out of the corner. Hennings has a run on both of them. They might go 4 wide. Hennings got blocked by Jeffrey Hunter. Philip Willis is going to get 3 positions down the back straightaway. Incredible.
Right up the middle here for the 33 car.
Oh, they're crashing at the back. Mike Chivers got spun. They actually end up saving it. This should not be a yellow. I cannot believe Hennings got blocked like that. I think he thought he was going to get the lead away. It turned out Jeffrey Hunter put him up the track, and Philip Willis, the seas just parted for him perfectly.
Looking back on a replay.
And he just had such a big run. If Jeffrey Hunter doesn't make that block on Brian Hennings, they probably go 4 wide, or at least try it, and might end up crashing at that point. And that's the replay with the 5, just kind of getting booted. Couldn't tell if that was John Hudson or someone else, but they made contact, and pretty good save by the 5.
There's the block right here.
Right there. I mean, Hennings had such a big run. That was such a risky block by Jeffrey Hunter. It was such a big discrepancy in momentum. I just thought he was going to give him the outside. Both drivers on 2 tires kind of missed turn number 2, but he ends up putting the block on him. It worked out, kept them in 3rd. The Hennings eventually got around him, and now those drivers on 4 tires are looking good. They'll probably start to pull away, and 2 tires not looking so great.
When you take 2 tires, it's
Top 10s in 8 races, and no one's really even close to him. Conde's 2 back behind him, and he's 2nd in top 10s. That's, like you said, that's why he's been the points leader pretty much since the start. If he finishes 2nd the next 4 races, doesn't matter if Philip Willis wins all of them. He's still going to be the champion, but he can still win this race. He has a big run on the 33, and you're seeing Philip Willis not really break the draft. He's kind of protecting the inside line, kind of protecting outside and inside going into turn 3, but you see the 74 kind of generating bigger runs. They're both on even tires. That might be a part of it. You're seeing Hennings enter high. He's entering corners high, lifting early, exiting, trying to exit low, and kind of get on the gas a little earlier than Willis is, and he's using that draft. He's going to get about 5 miles an hour extra worth of speed in that draft alone, even without a push from Jeffrey Hunter, but he just can't get close enough to make a move before the corner entry.
Looking off the back of Philip Willis in the lead. Lap 37 out of 45, less than 10 to go. Brian Hennings, Jeffrey Hunter holding on to 3rd. Jordan Conde on the way.
See if he can take it. Doesn't quite look like he's going to be able to. It almost feels like he lifted there and he didn't want to make that move. I think maybe he's trying to time it to the point where he maybe does it on the final lap. I really wouldn't want to wait with how many green white checkers we've had. I would not want to do that. I want to get the lead as soon as I can, but it looked like he lifted there down the straightaway. I would have thought he could have made a move to the inside, but he just chose not to.
Jordan Conde is about 1.5 seconds back here down the back or front stretch. There's a battle back here for 10th.
Oh, little contact. Sorry, Conde and Walton had contact for that 4th position. They went up the track. Doug Helfer's going to try to get those positions back.
race going into turn 1. Keep an eye on it.
Henning's looking to be outside of Willis live. We'll see what that happens. See if that happens with that. They get single filed back out. But right here, Kelly Walton goes to the inside pretty late. And I don't think Condé was expecting a move that late, and they just kind of came together. I don't know what Condé could have done. That was kind of a dive bomb from that far back. It's kind of what this track does to you, though. You think you have a run, you're going to end up really trying to protect it. If you're not going to protect it, someone's going to dive low, and that's what happened right there. And you can see 33 Philip Willis knows Brian Hennings has been getting a little bit too close the last few laps, so now you're starting to see him kind of weave down the racetrack, break that draft.
When I was talking to Hennings there pre-race, he mentioned the practice races. He was finally able to execute a single stop, and that was his strategy coming into tonight. You gotta make a one-stop race, then nobody can beat you, but that got thrown out the window on lap 4.
At this point, it's all bets are off. If whoever wins, wins, and there's no strategy to it unless we get that yellow where maybe people pit for tires, maybe some don't. I would think most don't. And now you're starting to see those tires maybe start to wear a little bit on Hennings. I thought he could have made the move earlier. He chose not to, and you're starting to see him kind of inch out closer to that outside wall on the exit of turn 4 and turn 2. So it's getting a little tougher to stay in the wake of that 33.
This is off the back of Philip Willis, your leader right now, and Jeffrey Hunter still lurking back there. Even on 2 tires, Hunter is showing speed. Imagine if that 15 car took 4.
You can see every time you can see Hennings kind of getting a run. Willis pulls about not even a groove lower. He goes like half a groove lower, just protecting that bottom line while also not really leaving a lot of room to the outside. I'm basically saying you're going to have to do something crazy to get by me. But you see Hennings, he got a really good exit at turn 4. That's why you saw Willis pull to the inside, and we might see side by side in the turn number 1 here. Hennings trying to stay in that draft. It's almost like there's a bubble. When one car gets closer to the rear bumper of another, it kind of pushes that car back, which is kind of what we saw with the Cup cars 12 years ago. Almost is what it looks like. So maybe Hennings wasn't lifting a few laps prior as we are at 5 to go now. Maybe he wasn't lifting. That's just how the cars are. Oh, he's got a big run again. Ooh, Hennings look to the outside. Whoa, there might be contact. Here comes the switchback. That took the 33 by surprise. Now he's to the inside. He just couldn't quite hold it.
He's still going to be there. He's going to send into 4.
They're just kind of weaving back and forth. They keep doing that, they're going to crash. It's just a matter of time if they keep doing it that close. 4 to go now. They pulled away from Jeffrey Hunter while doing this, as it's single file throughout pretty much the entire field. Whoa, he almost hit the wall there.
A dirty air in front of Hennings. He's going to get another run out of turn 2.
You see he's running low on rubber. He's going to have to make something crazy happen at some point because he's starting to get closer to nailing that wall out of a corner.
Backs up the entry to 3. I like it.
It's hard
to get a big run.
It's hard to, oh, wow, I'm shocked Willis blocked that. I don't think he needed to. He put himself offline for the exit of 4 now, and Hennings is going to get a much better run than I think he would have. 3 to go. He can't get enough of a run. He's just, I don't know if he's backing up turn 4 and turn 2 too much, or he's just the dirty air's that bad in those corners where he just does not get the run he needs.
All over the back bumper of Philip Willis. Running out of racetrack out of 1.
You can just see his stress on those tires, stress on the car. He's starting to lose steam, and Willis can kind of smell that victory coming because 74 is just running out of chances at this point.
A really good shot there out of turn 2 the last time around. This time, not as good.
He inched up the track. I'm waiting for him to inch up the track, maybe try a second lane just to see if he can do something and get a better run. But I've seen a second lane work in the real world. Not in the real world. Oh, he's going to nail the wall, and that
Yeah.
might do it. He hit the wall hard. You saw him kind of get the left sides on the curbing, and it kind of shot him back up the racetrack, kind of, you know, like curbs do, and that's probably it right there. He's got 2 laps to make that gap up, and iRacing, I was saying that second lane can work, not in the real world. There's really nothing in the real world off of the bottom line.
That might be all she wrote, but that's not going to chip away much at this points lead. Brian Hennings coming into tonight with 36 points on the lead. Philip Willis could lead every single lap and win this race. It doesn't matter. Hennings finishes behind him in second place every week for the next 3. It's going to be a tough championship, but Philip Willis is going to find his way to victory lane yet again. White flag. We still have 1 to go. Anything can happen here in the 2025 VRX World Cup. White flag is out, presented by Moser Racing.
That lap showed kind of how much faster Hennings might be when it comes to both drivers running in clean air. He gained half a tenth the previous lap on that 33 car once he finally got in cleaner air because of his mistake. It was too little too late.
Hennings shaved it back down to 3/10. He is fast, but it's probably not going to be enough. A dive to the inside of turn 3, trying to use the curb to rotate that car. He is going to get a run off of turn 3, but overshoots the entry to turn 4 and down the front straightaway for the final time. VRX World Cup 2025, and Brian Hennings is going to total this car across the start-finish line and still get second position.
Ooh, look out, everyone else. I don't think he needed to do that, but he ends up second regardless. But what a job from Philip Willis playing defense at the end there, and what a restart. Everything kind of worked in his favor with the block from Jeffrey Hunter on the Brian Hennings, but he still had to defend for the last 10 to 15 laps. He had the 74 breathing down his neck, and he did exactly what he needed to do. That's all he can do. He led the most laps. He got the pole. He won the race. There's nothing else he can do about Brian Hennings' title lead. He did exactly what he needed to do tonight.
He adds his 5th win on the season in just 8 races.
Why it's frustrating as a driver seeing him leave Bristol so early. It's like, get those points. You could have got more points. But he's still in the fight. If he can keep doing this, he needs only really 1 bad race, as they're wrecking after the line. John Hudson got spun in the background. But if he just keeps doing that, he gets 1 bad race from the 74. Who knows what could happen? Contact, I guess, with 3 to go. Christian Key and John Hudson had contact, and that's why they were wrecking after the checkered flag. No shortage of that in VRX.
And the
Burnout on the
33
brakes.
gets to kiss the bricks. Post-race interviews with your top 3 in just a moment's time. But it's Philip Willis and the 33, that 5th win on the season. Brian Hennings, Jeffrey Hunter on 2 tires, comes home in 3rd. We'll get a word with those drivers in just a moment's time. You are watching the 2025 VRX World Cup live on V-Speed. More coverage continues post-race right after this.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Welcome back to Indianapolis for race number 8 of the season. Philip Willis is going to add his 5th victory. Hate to say it, but I was right tonight. I thought the 33 had the goods. Connor, you were only 0.02 of a second technically behind me. Brian Hennings, of course, throwing it down the front stretch, ends up 2.2 seconds behind. But he was within half a second there. And I think it was a phenomenal race. I know we had a lot of cautions, but you go back to the race recap with 4 cautions, 5 lead changes. It really wasn't that bad of a race, and we got to see a pretty lightning performance at the end.
That was pretty crazy, frantic finish between those two. I thought Hennings had something for him. He just couldn't quite break through that bubble. He got so close to the bumper. He wasn't willing to hit him, as he usually never is going to do that. He just didn't quite have enough to get there. Once the tire started wearing the dirty air, at that point it was over.
From 14th up to 2nd there for Hennings. Philip Willis started on the pole. Jeffrey Hunter in the top 5. He's going to finish in 3rd. And again, we'll get a word with those drivers in just a moment's time. Kelly Walton in the 818. How about that for the 818? Getting up to the top 5. Going to finish in 4th. How many times have we mentioned that name? Getting involved in an incident here tonight. Seems that it worked out well for that fast repair. Julian Conde going to fall to 5th position after starting on the outside of the front row. Doug Helfer is going to finish in 6th. Dane Shivers is going to finish in 7th. 13 car. Phenomenal finish for him. Greg Spiker in 8th. Great job for the 10. Ken Couch. You heard it here in the interview. Ken Couch happy he wasn't going to finish last. He ends up finishing in the top 10. And Christian Key, I would say, luck improvement for a top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, a lot of luck for a lot of drivers. Either went sour or went their way. Wade Palmer had some incidents at the end, relegated him to 11th. John Hudson ended up 12th after having contact with Christian Key. That's why he wrecked after the checker, because he went after for 97. Edward Fiedler, he ended up 13th. He had to take the wave around after the last yellow. He ended up 13th. Benjamin Richards got the lucky dog. He ended up 14th. Renee Hasp 15th. Anthony Edrington 16th. Kenneth Blackburn 17th. Mike Chivers, who had that save at the end, he did not get the yellow to recover from it. 18th for him. Dan Charles, who had issues all night, 19th. And Dave Collins, a 707, ends up 20th. Almost everyone in that 11th to 20th range had issues of some sort.
Yeah, and you saw the 155 take it down through the grass in that second incident here tonight. But the luck continues for a lot of these drivers. You have Rockford back in 21st position, Kokenberg 22nd, Teresa Spiker, who we spoke to there around the mid-race, going to end up in 23rd. Hopefully we can get it back going there for the 25 team. Jason Lyon in the number 12, going to round in 24th position of this field. But now it's time to go down trackside and get post-race interviews underway. The first place we're going to visit here tonight is Victory Lane. The first driver we're going to talk to is the driver of the number 33, who found his way there for the 5th time this season. He's going to shave away a little bit of points, but I know for you, Philip Willis, this is one of those races that you were hoping and praying that the 74 stayed back there in that 14th position where he started.
Yeah, I was hoping for it. I'm sure y'all had a nice little show to watch here on that last little stint. That was a lot of fun. Brian's no joke. He makes you work for it. And he made me overdrive the entry on one of my turns because I'm too busy watching my mirror, and he makes me work. Let's put it that way.
He almost got you is what comes to mind there. Got to your inside, a little crossover move, kind of that over under, and you defended it well though. And we saw you kind of overdrive maybe the exits of these corners, but you did what you had to do once you did it. You knew that you did it.
Oh, absolutely. You do it because that right front here is the tire that wears out. I mean, the other three, they're okay, but that right front, you get it too hot, you cannot turn this car. So it was all about your entry. You got to slow it down, go kind of coasting middle of the turn and then back on it, on exit. But the move of the race was definitely on that last restart, taking it 3 wide in the middle, if not 4 wide. I couldn't tell because I was too busy driving the wheel off this thing, and it was a lot of fun tonight. Like I said, Brian makes you work for it, and that's the way I like to win races. I don't want to have it easy by no means. I want it to mean something, and this one worked out pretty good.
It definitely means something when you come from the top spot. You have the strategy change. It got jumbled up throughout this race. You end up in the middle of the pack. I think you were outside the top 5 for a moment there, or close to it. And then you race your way back up there. Let's go back to that 3 wide. There was a mistake there by Jeffrey Hunter out of turn 2. Hunter goes up high, blocks the 74, and you shoot right up the middle. How did that feel?
Oh, that was awesome. When I saw that hard checkup or on the entry, that turn, or coming off the exit, that was on the exit turn actually. And I saw Brian hitting some outside. I'm like, do I do it now or not? And there was just too much of a gap between that inside and the outside, and I had to take it. These cars, when you're behind in line, it just takes so much downforce off of this car that it just really tightens it up to where you can't make the entry like you want. So I'm going to tell you, it's more like driving 3/4 throttle, into the entry of the turn versus full throttle into the entry and then backing off. So, I mean, if you watch that replay or during that broadcast, you'll see to where you have to back off so much to get the front nose to turn. And if you don't make it turn, you're in the wall. And if you're in the wall, you're going to damage that right front and you're toast.
I believe it's been compared to a dump truck a couple of times. I've heard that analogy here on B-Speed. But when you're hauling stone, sometimes you're paving the way for everybody else behind you, and that's what you did here tonight. Excellent job, Philip. We appreciate you coming up here and talking to us. Do you have anybody you want to shout out? I know there's a lot of people watching tonight.
Oh, sure. Thanks to everybody that comes out and watches this. It's been a heck of a season, and I can't thank VRX enough for the invite to do this. It's been fun. Can't thank the sponsors enough. Bug Kicker, Pimax, Monza Racing, and of course Superior Performance for Kevin McCahey. And I hate that we lost him here towards the end of this last year, but it still means something. He's still part of the family. We still keep him in our honor and the family in our prayers. So heart goes out to them. And of course I got to thank y'all from V-Speed and Connor and Bradley. Y'all put on a heck of a show to watch, and it's very cool to see this being broadcasted the way that y'all do it. I just told Brian I haven't seen anybody do it better than y'all, so kudos to y'all. You really make it fun. Thanks to all the people that come out to VRX and race this. I mean, it's real cool to race with this family. I mean, you can say friends, but this is a family.
I call it a cult.
Yeah, you call it a cult, but it was nice to be able to be invited to do this. This is my first time doing it. I may not get invited back, who knows? But it's been fun. Like I said, thanks to all the fans that watches on YouTube and even on Twitch if you go that far. But if anybody in my family is watching, I appreciate them coming out for the support, and anybody that works for my company, Publix, they support me through the years, and hopefully more good things to come.
Philip Willis, victorious 5th time this season, chipping away at that lead. One more thing to add to that, and you can't answer back. Stay on the racetrack at Bristol. That's all Connor Horn had to say to you after that one. But
that one hurt, man. That really did hurt. We went back and watched that replay.
I said you couldn't answer back.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right, man. Yeah, it's all right, man. It's one of those things that hindsight's always 20/20, and I feel for you, man. I feel for you.
It's all good.
All right, Philip Willis, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week. All
right. Yeah, have a good night.
There he is, driver of the 33 in victory lane. Connor, I just had to take a jab. I had to take a jab. I felt like maybe it was a cheap shot, but I had to do it.
Hey, I think he would also take a shot at himself if he had the opportunity to, but he righted all those wrongs 3 weeks later. And like I said, right after he took the checkered flag, he did what he needed to do tonight. It doesn't matter if Brian Hennings finishes second the next 4 races, so be it. All he can do is go out there, get the pole, lead the most laps, win the race, and maybe something will go his way if he can just do that for the next few weeks.
Well, you've got our second place interview here and somebody that was very close to a victory on this one. Brian Hennings in the 74.
Yep, I do have Brian Hennings. He's up here in the booth. He ends up second. He led a lot of laps, just couldn't
Womp
get
womp.
by the 33 at the end. Womp womp indeed. Obviously, it kind of came down to the final restart with drivers on 2 tires. Take us through that restart and how that went down.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, Phil and I both took 4. Jeff took 2. Probably why he maybe dropped off near the end there of that last run. But yeah, kudos to Phil. It was just I was joking with him because I jumped into his voice channel right before that last restart, so we basically talked to each other the last part of the race, and it was basically like flipped of what happened before that last caution. Like I was out front, I was weaving back and forth in front of him, giving him a good time trying to pass me, and it's once the runs start going long here, it's very hard to get around somebody. Then after that caution, that little chaos had happened, and as he was calling it, and I'll say it, I'll agree, the move of the race, with Jeff and all that, just the way Jeff came up in front of me on the wall, I had nowhere to go, I had to lift. If I would have tried to give him a bump, I probably would have sent him into Phil. So he made a very good pass. I'll give him that. It was a very nice move, and I had that one chance, and it was like 5 to go, and I got to his inside. I told him I shouldn't have lifted when we were going into 4. I should have stayed on his inside, and then I probably could have potentially forced him wide and maybe taken it and given him a run for the money. But oh well, didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. And obviously, even to get that chance of 5 to go, it took a
Yeah.
lot out of you and your tires, as we saw in the final 2 laps. Take us through the process of even trying to make a pass. Obviously, it made some passes early, but once you get to the front, it just looked impossible for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm no expert here at Indy at all. But I mean, I practice all week with everybody, and it just seemed to me like it's better if you're slow in and fast out. And you got to get a better run than they do off the corner, and then you just suck up to them with their draft and go for the inside. I mean, I don't see how you pass anybody on the outside here. I think that's kind of impossible. But yeah, that's what I was just trying to do. Just get a run off him and get to his inside, and I only had that one chance, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, you came close. He still ended up second, even with a destroyed race car across the yard at bricks. But
that
either
was that
way,
was my frustration.
that definitely seemed that way. But either way, you end up
Yep.
keeping a pretty decent points lead. I think unofficially it's 31. You keep doing that the rest of the season, you'll be the champion still. So either way,
Yeah.
congrats on second place. Good run for you again. Still most top tens in the series by far. And anyone else you want to thank or shout out?
I appreciate just you guys up in the booth. I'm gonna go watch this one for sure. Just all my other teammates at VRX. Still lots of shout out and love to the Mulcahy family and the Spiker family. And want to say hi to Paul and Turd Nugget who's probably watching. What's up, guys? And love my wife and daughter. Love you guys. That's about it.
And you got the most top tens in the series by 3, and then the most top fives in the series by 2. It's probably why you have a
Right.
30-plus point lead. So congrats on that, Brian. A few more
Thank you.
races to go. Not over yet, but good second place run tonight. Thanks for talking to us. We will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You too.
Second place finisher Brian Hennings in the number 74. That brings us to our final interview with our third place finisher. We have brought up Jeff. You got a copy with us, Jeff Hunter.
Yes, sir. Whoop, whoop.
2 tires was the call. You lurked back there all race long. You'd been in pretty much the top 5 all the way through this thing. It was kind of a weird recipe, though. Every time you made a decision, it seemed to be kind of the wrong one in the long run. And we didn't really get that long run until the very end of this race.
Yeah, I was just completely gambling on that last pit stop with 2 tires. I was kind of thinking I wasn't going to be the only guy taking 2 tires, but turns out I was. And I just hung on to it as best I could. I thought I was gonna lose it there at one point, and that's when Philip made his move, but then I finally caught it and just hung on to third.
We were watching that battle in front of you, those guys going back and forth. Do you think if maybe they race side by side, if this track could produce something like that, you could have caught him?
Yeah, I was hoping they were going to get really racy and wreck each other. That's what I was hoping for. But it didn't happen. But yeah, those guys did a good job holding it together. And when they were in line, sometimes I could kind of get the draft and get ahead of steam on them going into the corner. But I couldn't really do much with it. Like I said, those left sides of mine weren't cooperating very well at the end there. So it was all I could do just to hang on to third. Matter of fact, I thought the 818 was going to pass me at the end there. So it was all I could do to stay in front of Ford.
Speaking of the 818, Kelly Walton had a comeback race, and you were kind of in the midst of all of that, but you were able to avoid that just behind you. A lot of this race came down to who saved their mindset. The discipline in this track it's a different place altogether.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with these type of tracks. This track in Pocono, I don't really race them a whole lot, but I did a lot of practicing this week and just did my best, but this isn't really my forte, these type of tracks.
Well, Jeff, you come up with a podium finish. I think that's pretty good for not favoring these tracks and not knowing them too well. Very, very hard racetrack to get around. You come home in that top three. Congratulations again after starting in 5th place. Anybody you have to shout out for it?
Yeah, thanks a lot. My sister Sherry and her husband Jim watched my races. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. My mom too. Love you, Mama. She watches all my races too. Those are my biggest fans. And Mama T and Greg and Benji and Brian and Jason. Love all those guys. The VRX family is really a good group of people to hang out with, and I couldn't be happier to hang out with them.
Congratulations again, Jeffrey, and we look forward to seeing you next week. It's about 7 days. We won't have to wait 3 weeks again to see you on the racetrack. Until then, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
O'Connor, it was a phenomenal show. This far into the season, you got to wonder what's in store for us these next couple weeks.
We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, we have no more long breaks, which is the best part of it. We only have 3 more races to go. Kansas is probably the most normal track we're going to go to near the end of this season out of the 3 we have left. 1.5-mile racetrack, very competitive track, a very fun track. It can be. We'll see if that bottom line comes in. It might be another track that might be frustrating to pass at, but I don't think the draft will play as big of a factor as the dirty air at Kansas, but it should be a pretty fun race. And like we've been saying, all that 74 needs to do, pretty much run top 5, top 3, and he's a champion no matter what, but that is so much easier said than done.
Only one racetrack on the entire schedule that we'll visit twice, and that is Daytona. It's typically the first race of every season, but it's going to be the last race here for the VRX World Cup schedule. You can catch that here on V-Speed at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 Central. Again, Connor, I know that this championship means a lot to these drivers, a lot of prizes on the line. We haven't really talked about them. I believe there's a Pimax Air on the line. Got a Moza bundle coming up. Butt Kicker is also involved in this. There's a lot to be said about the prize pool here at VRX, and that's what these drivers are all racing for. You can catch that action live here on V-Speed all the way through the season. We hope you enjoyed tonight's action. If you did, hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race. You can catch us flag to flag all season long. You can also subscribe and catch our notifications for other series as we come back with Goat Locker here and Days It In with Y. We have other series on the docket coming back here in the springtime. Again, Saturday Night Racing League. We have plenty of racing there left to be done in season number 6 of the Cup Series. That'll be broadcasted. We're already in talks. We have Racing Revolution starting back up very, very soon on Wednesday nights. And of course, there'll be many, many series. We're actually branching out to Le Mans Ultimate very, very soon. So go ahead and catch all of that action here. For Adam Baker, my co-commentator Connor Horn, our other co-owners, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook. This is Bradley Cooper saying so long from Indianapolis. We'll see you next week for VRX World Cup.